What is something you wish you knew before you started dating? Standards, lessons learned, something you wish you'd done differently. 1. A man will be in your life if he wants to be. 2. Know your boundaries and expectations. Don't compromise on them. Just because they like you doesn't mean you're obligated to like them back. You're allowed to say no, it's not being mean and it'll save you a lot of time. That one red flag is usually enough, and that my intuition never failed me, I should have listened. I, 23 female, would date and be in relationships, but I never felt a connection. I thought there was something wrong with me. I recently found someone who I easily fell in love with, and now after 6 months I'm still blown away how easy it is to prioritize him and our relationship and how much I want to improve myself. So my takeaway? With the right person, it's so easy to fall in love and still be yourself. Don't compromise on that. You'll find someone. That you don't have to be the cool girlfriend. It's better in the long run to communicate if you're insecure or jealous rather than letting it eat at you to seem chill. Boundaries and how to enforce them. I was lucky to have had great respectful boyfriends before my last serious relationship, and so was naive enough not to know when and how to enforce boundaries with him, so it ended up being 5 years of progressive controlling and emotional abuse. You should never, ever, feel like you have to beg for someone to give you even the slightest bit of attention. If they value the relationship as much as you do, they'll treat you as such. You don't have to fight to want to break up. You don't need some big blowout or some betrayal. You can, at any moment, decide that this is not the person for you. They can be nice, but little things do matter. They don't have to be evil for you to want to break up with them. They can be a good person, but not the right person. That he wasn't over his horny stage. I feel like he needed validation from other women to make himself feel hot or whatever. I caressed his body, rubbed his feet, massaged his body, cooked for him, nurtured his soul, and his mind. That wasn't enough. Now we're over, I just keep thinking about how he used to always say what I did for him, not what he liked about me as a person. If you know what you want in terms of boundaries, don't compromise, you'll only end up unhappy. Honestly, I wish I didn't lower my standards to line up with the stupid advice I heard, or read, elsewhere from people who most likely weren't even qualified to give such advice in the first place. It's hard to explain beyond that I felt like I had to force myself to be fine with things I wasn't solely because I was scared of seeming insecure or needy or jealous or whatever other negative adjectives are thrown around in response to any standard that isn't just blind acceptance. So I guess I wish I knew that just because my standards differ from the standards of other people, doesn't mean I'm required to change those standards. Reflection through comparison can be a helpful tool for growth, but a complete upheaval is often unnecessary. I wish I had to take a test about my knowledge of cluster B personality disorders and the cycle of abuse with multiple choice and open-ended questions, and would need to be passed by 80% or higher before courting gates were opened after I turned 16. There's a misconception girls like bad boys, but I found, some, not all, girls liked who a bad boy pretended to be. So, if someone has that reputation and they don't seem so bad, be on the lookout. Are they on speaking terms or platonically friendly even from a distance? Was it a messy breakup? Do they have a pattern of messy breakups? Little things, like that, +1 don't lower your standards. How to stand up for my wants/needs and when to call it quits with someone. I let way too many guys linger around even though I knew that they weren't a good fit for me. That I'm in charge of my own narrative, to an extent. I used to work a job I hated and felt ashamed about it, so I didn't like talking about it on dates. But later I started framing it as just a stage in my life, a comfy job that pays well for right now, but I am looking for more. I don't think anybody cared that much, but I felt more confident about myself when I stopped being ashamed of a stupid job that I was looking to leave anyway. Oh, and I wish I'd known it's not smart to drink alcohol on first dates. Better to have all your wits about you when meeting somebody for the first time. I wish I knew how to communicate. I grew up in an abusive household, so I was literally too afraid to say anything about having doubt or being upset. That kind of behavior always resulted in being screamed at and threatened. I ruined a few relationships and dragged them out too long because of my cowardice, and I regret it. I wish I hadn't felt so responsible for maintaining long-term relationships and that I would have instead just let a relationship run its course and let it go when it was over, especially dating at 15/16/17, hell even up until my 20s, before I met my now fiancé. High school is, typically, not where you're gonna find your hubby, baby girl. Move along and have fun. The red flags you see at the beginning are going to be the reasons why you broke up at the end. Feeling a vibe is fine, but if you guys are not compatible, it's not going to work. Love language is also very important. If a man is interested in you, he would make time for you. No need for tactics or games. You don't have to continue dating someone, or marry them, because you are afraid of hurting their feelings, embarrassing them reacting angrily, disappointing their family, or out of fear of being alone. They will be okay, and it's never worth settling for what you don't want. Being single and a little lonely sometimes is way better than being with the wrong person. My orgasm matters just as much as theirs. I don't owe anyone my body under any circumstances. Attraction needs to be mutual. I am not a usable item that's just hoping to have an owner. Being attracted to bad boys is not good for you emotionally or mentally. They're usually just nicely wrapped bags of dog shit. I wish I didn't shut off my requirements, you can say, or expectations thinking it was too much. Wanting care or effort or a patient partner isn't unrealistic apparently, lol. Being with someone because you like how they like you is not the same as being with someone because you like them. That no matter how much you work on yourself, you will discover new things about yourself that maybe you aren't proud of, and it's okay to have such flaws. Also, that you never should settle for anything if you're not happy with it. Don't feel the need to play along for the sake of your partner. Clear communication is key in all relationships. I wish I knew that I did not have to stay in a relationship that I had a feeling would not last in the long run. I also wish I knew that I could stand up for myself and not succumb solely to my S/O's needs. Online, that 99% of men online weren't looking for something serious. I wish I had the confidence and self-esteem I have now. My first boyfriend was a goblin. I laughed out loud. Weren't all our first boyfriends goblins? LMAO. That when you're looking at someone through rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like flags. It can take a lot to learn to take those glasses off and look at someone for who they really are. As a general rule, the cool girl doesn't get a commitment or an engagement. Lots of men make it out like they want a woman who likes everything they like and has no needs of her own, but they willfully choose to go with and even marry demanding women. That's because they can't respect a woman who isn't herself and has no standards for the way she is treated. For them it's the equivalent of dating a guy who lets people walk all over him and is so agreeable he has no opinions of his own. Relationships are not contractual. You can exit one for any reason, or no reason at all, whenever you wish. You are allowed to decide for yourself and you do not need to convince anyone at all. I wish I learned that never to date people who are indifferent and mama's boys. They do not care and never have the balls to stand for you. I don't have to give up who I am in order for my soul to feel comfortable and secure. I don't have to lower my standards because I might not find someone else who will treat me the same, if not better. That cheating can be asymptomatic. In that I mean sometimes when someone cheats on you, there are literally no signs of it. They're not accusing you of cheating, they aren't being sneaky on the phone with you, they aren't disappearing for hours or going out often out of character. Sometimes getting cheated on can absolutely blindside you, and that can end up be worse than being suspicious of it because you'll start to doubt even simple things that make no sense because of that experience. TLDR, cheating doesn't always come with warning signs. A complete lack thereof can be just as if not more damaging than if there were obvious signs. Not to rush into things and don't fall too fast. Take things slowly, cause I ended up breaking someone's heart because I couldn't learn to appreciate it. Oh boy, where to start? Asterisk, you don't have to be attached at the hip. Asterisk, lay down boundaries early. Asterisk, your life comes first, especially if you're young. Asterisk, compromise is good, but not if it compromises your happiness, safety, or comfort. Asterisk, always use protection. Asterisk, have a friend to call on backup, always have your own transportation to the date site. Asterisk if they start bad-mouthing anyone and not reflecting on any of their own faults, big red flag. Asterisk it's nice to keep it civil, but you don't have to be nice to appease someone who's pushing you. No answer is an answer. Don't send that second or third text. Just don't. Some guys will do/say anything for sex. Know your worth beyond their words and actions. Just because they're nice, doesn't mean they actually treat you with the respect you deserve. My ex would always compliment me on my looks and do nice things for me, but when it came to actual discussions/opinions and personal issues, he always had to be the smartest one in the room, no matter the topic, or my issue suddenly became his issue, and not in the he cares so deeply way, in the my life has been harder so you really shouldn't complain kind of way. When I did talk, he never genuinely listened to provide advice or comfort. I could always see the gears turning in his head about how he was going to make this about him or try to sound like he knew more about the topic. I always remained quiet or at least reserved because I didn't want to be considered dramatic or have a confrontation that would lead to losing, who I was convinced at the time, was the only man who was ever going to love me. There were a ton of red flags that I chose to ignore because I was just so happy to have a boyfriend who called me pretty and brought me food sometimes. That relationship definitely taught me what I don't want out of future relationships and how to recognize some of the usually well-hidden indications that someone is not as great as they seem. Mixed signals mean he is not interested or not ready. Save yourself the heartache and frustration and move on. Never beg for a man who broke up with you. Don't have sex with someone until you are so ready that you absolutely have to have them. Anything less is pressured or negotiated. Don't self-sabotage and draw inferences from delusions. Similarly, don't be needy. This is accomplished by focusing on your own path and allowing the relationship to evolve organically, if it does. If you have boundary or value, e.g., I don't like my partners compulsively following and liking Instagram models, don't let men gaslight you into thinking that you're being crazy while they continue that behavior. You should feel confident and comfortable in your love. Friendship and mutual respect is fundamental to partnership. If it doesn't feel right, if you're always upset or uncertain, if you don't feel secure, something is not right. Never settle. Lesson 1, if the guy can't commit after a while, he's just not interested. The take-home message is, don't be afraid to walk away. Lesson 2, never fall for a guy too fast. I fell for 2 guys too fast. The outcomes were we broke up either because we didn't get along or there's no chemistry or emotional connection, what my ex told me. I reflected on my experience and concluded that falling too fast is a pitfall of infatuation. There's no foundation being built, so making the connection with the guy unstable or weak that can't stand any challenges. Lesson 3, don't rely on a guy for emotional need, at least not a new guy you met. It's not sustainable to rely on someone I haven't built a connection with to give me the emotional support. Building a strong friend and family network is more reliable. I'm an introvert and my family is in another country, which means I can't always receive my emotional support from friend and family. I'm learning to build a stronger network with friends and family though, most of the stuff most people might already know, but I'd still put it out there to share my experience. Hope this helps. Laughing face.